Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first of our PA Forum Mentoring Initiative Discovery sessions. The purpose of this session today is just to talk a little bit more about the opportunities that we have for our mentoring scheme, whether you're interested in joining PA Forum as a mentor or whether you're on the search for the support of a mentor to guide you through and support you through some of your day-to-day life, really, and working life. It could be projects that you're looking at the moment that might feel a little bit daunting. It might be career progression that you're thinking about and not quite sure how to tackle that, and just need a bit of a confidant, somebody to lean on, somebody to talk to about what you're going through at the moment. And so it's wonderful to be able to welcome you. If you're watching this back on playback and you'd like any further information after this meeting, then please do get in touch with me, and it'll be great to be able to have the conversation with you. We will be hearing from two of our mentors today, from Mel Bates and also Claire Rouse. So I'm going to have you talking to them a little bit more as we go through the session today. So to give you a little bit of background, the PA Forum Mentoring Initiative was founded really during the middle of the peak of the pandemic, and I was having a conversation with Tracy Whitehouse, who was previously the executive assistant to the CEO of DHL Supply Chain, and talking about her experience of implementing or being supported through a mentoring initiative within DHL, which was really, really successful. And having some conversations over the past couple of weeks, we can see that there's quite a lot of businesses, particularly with a large population of PAs, that are looking to install or implement a mentoring initiative within their own organization. What's great about the PA Forum Mentoring Initiative is that you actually can get the support of somebody outside of your organization. And I think we sometimes hear from a lot of our members that you might be the only person within your organization that's supporting multiple managers or multiple senior board level directors or CEOs. And you might just need that extra support outside of your organization, again, to lean on somebody or just to ask questions and have that relationship, that one-to-one relationship with somebody. Because sometimes you can be carrying a lot of information and a lot of things that you know are forthcoming in the business that you might be privy to that other people aren't privy to, and you want that confidential environment to be able to speak to somebody else who's doing the same role as you and to find out more about how they might tackle that situation, or will pinpoint you in the right direction of resources that you could go to that could really help you as well. So when I spoke to Tracy, we talked about how that would look like, how we would instigate that mentoring initiative. And when we reached out to some of our members, we were actually quite overwhelmed by the number of people that wanted to offer their experience and support people that were looking for help and advice and guidance. And so we created the mentoring initiative, and on our website, www.pa-forum.co.uk, if you head to the mentoring tab, you'll actually see a list of all of our mentors on the tab with a brief description about their experience and some of the areas of support that they could offer you if there's something particular that you're looking at. Now, how the mentoring initiative works is if somebody's looking for the help of a mentor, we would ask them to complete very short application form asking them about what they were looking to get out of the relationship and what are the challenges that they're facing right now. And that would be sent in to me directly, and I then remove any personal information, and we reach out then to our mentors via our forum area to find out who has got capacity and who would like to have an initial conversation with that person. What's really important to note here is that if you do have an initial conversation with somebody and you don't feel that they might be a good fit, that is okay. And I think that's really important to stress, that from the mentor's point of view, or for you as a mentee, that if you don't think that that relationship is quite right for what you're looking for, that it is absolutely okay to say. And the great thing is about that is that you might have an informal conversation with 2 or 3 different mentors until you find the right person that you feel, okay, I've clicked with that person. I think that we've got a really nice relationship that we can forge going forward. Once you've had those initial conversations, if you would like to make the relationship formal, then what I would do is connect you with the person that you've decided to go forward with. And we would ask that person then to schedule a meeting with you initially, where we go through what's called our framework document. And the framework document is where each of you can talk through what are the objectives and how you want to effectively run those meetings with each other. You can decide whether you want to have virtual meetings together. Perhaps you might want to have a face-to-face every now and again. Now we're kind of through the other side of COVID, fingers crossed. It might be a purely virtual relationship that you want to have, and that's absolutely fine. And then it's about setting those objectives so that when you come into those meetings and understanding the frequency of those meetings, that you know that when you're coming on, that you've got this targeted information that you want to try and talk through. And that can change through the relationship. It's not set in stone. There will be challenges that you might come across in your working life that you think, oh, I just need to pick up the phone and speak to Mel or speak to Claire and find out, how they might deal with that situation. And it's about having those communication channels open when it's appropriate and at the time to be able to talk to people, because people are working full time as well at the same time. So this is very much a voluntary role. And really, there is no official end to the relationship. There's not oh, we've reached that now. That's great. Thank you very much. I'm off. It is an ongoing relationship it can be forged, and friendships can be forged out of that relationship. And some people have a mentor for 10, 15 years, it could be that you just want, you're working on a particular project and you as a mentee might think that that kind of relationship has now come to an end, but you'd like just to have touch points with your mentor at different times when you can, or just reach out for a coffee. And that's great. And we're here as a forum to be able to instigate this relationship and to be able to help you be matched with the right mentor that is right for you. And hopefully, like you say, go on to have these great relationships. So if I can talk to Mel first. Mel, if you don't mind, I'll bring you in. How are you doing?
Morning.
All
Fine.
right.
Afternoon, actually, isn't it? Yeah.
So how did you find out about this initiative, and why was it of interest to you personally?
It was, I think it was on LinkedIn when obviously you and Tracy had those sort of early conversations during lockdown. And I saw the post go on LinkedIn about looking for people who were sort of willing to give up some time voluntary mentoring people. And I suppose I was at a point in my career, I'd done a few different things where actually I thought I could help somebody else with the challenges that I kind of faced going into those roles, and not having somebody there who had either been through it or was going through it at the same time. And I didn't have that kind of that support, that camaraderie, I suppose. So that was sort of why I kind of thought, do you know what, I went through those roles on my own, and felt at times it felt quite lonely, and you didn't always know who to turn to. You could turn to your manager, but it's not quite the same as having perhaps a peer. So it was, and they were quite isolated roles, like my team leader role, and things like that. So it was quite nice, the thought that I could just support somebody else who was perhaps going through the same thing. So yeah.
And I think you hit on a really good point there, because as well, sometimes you're managing a team and you can't go to your team if there's something that you're going to be is potentially going to be quite challenging, or you could be going through quite a challenging time with your team, and you might want to reach out to another business support manager or somebody that's managing the team for that help and support. And like you say, you don't want to go to your boss because you're dealing with lots of different things at the same time. So it's just reaching out. And I think I think when people think about having a mentor, they might instantly think that person might be quite junior to them, but that's not the case, because you don't have to be. The mentoring relationship between a mentor and a mentee isn't about what level they're at or their age or anything like that. It can be somebody of equal experience or even more experience than you that just wants that peer-to-peer mentoring relationship.
Yeah, I mean, my one of my mentees actually was working for the CEO in her organization, and actually we came naturally to the end, sort of as I was going on to maternity leave, but we still met for a couple of coffees while I've been off, just as friends really, and we still chat, and sort of she'll just broach things with me and we'll have a chat. But actually, I joked the last time I saw her, I was like, I'm glad I'm not your mentor anymore, because I'm not sure that I can mentor, you know. I think actually it's the other way around, and you need to help me when I go back to work. So, you know, yeah, it's some of the things that she was doing just actually inspired me and made me think, my God, like I'm genuinely not sure that I should be mentoring you now. And that's actually when I think you get to the point and you do go, do you still need some support? And if you do, maybe we look at somebody else who's perhaps at a different level or doing the things that you're doing that you then need support for. And I think that's the honesty in your kind of mentor-mentee relationship that you need, in the sense that you need to acknowledge perhaps when I can't support you with that. You know, one of my another mentee wanted some sort of marketing kind of that kind of help, and that's totally out of my sort of skill set, not my experience. And so you kind of then you're signposting them perhaps to somebody else, and that might be even within, you know, it might be outside the PA forum if needs be, but actually there were other people within the PA forum mentor initiative that I was like, yeah, they'd be bang on for that. And it's then about looking what's best for the mentee at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to.
Brilliant, thanks, Mel. I think again, another thing that's come out of this is that we find that the mentors actually can learn so much from the mentees, because they might be working on, like you say, marketing. If they're supporting them, they're actually working within the marketing department, and you don't have any experience of that, then actually you could learn so much from each other as well. But I'm just going to bring Claire in, if that's okay. So Claire, how was it when you were having these initial conversations, the first time you were speaking to them? Because I can imagine some people might think it's a bit awkward and it's a bit difficult. So how was it for you?
It was fine, actually. I think having that initial, you know, the form that they, you know, fill out, or that bit of background information before you really start the meeting, was really helpful, sort of, just for me to sort of like get my head around it, and then just it gives you that sort of framework for a bit of a discussion to start it off for those the awkward bits at the beginning, and then you just carry off and you get chatting and everything's fine. You build a relationship and it's great. It's really nice.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think that's the thing. I think another thing from a mentor's perspective and from a mentee's perspective is that they think, oh, you know, it's going to be quite awkward. But that's why, again, we try and the mentors that we've been working with, you know, particularly at the moment, I know, Claire, you've mentored 2 people. Mel, you've done, is it 2 or 3? Yeah. And I think it's as they're going through this process, get more used to having those initial conversations with people as they come. Yeah. And would you say, Claire, that it also helps you within your role as well, as it helps you be more confident maybe in your role perhaps? Or
yeah, it has actually. And also now I mentor someone within our company, because I've never really thought about doing it before. And then someone saw through this on LinkedIn in my company that I was doing this mentoring scheme, and then they approached me and asked me if I would do some mentoring for them, and it's actually built, you know, given me new opportunities here as well within my company, and helped others here. So it's built my confidence massively. Yeah, it's great, and it is. I must admit, when you were saying about sharing knowledge as well, one of my mentees, she was an executive assistant like me, and she was like brilliant on all IT stuff. and SharePoint and Teams, and obviously going through COVID and everything. And I was behind the times of that. So I was like, okay, tell me, what do I need to know about that? So it was a brilliant relationship really that we had, that we sort of helped each other out.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think a lot of people sometimes, we sometimes get asked between what the difference is between a coach and a mentor. And I think it is a very different relationship, because I think a mentor, if you'll agree, isn't going to give you the answer. So that, you know, you're not going to have a mentor that's you need the answer to something, and basically that person's going to be there to give you the answer. That person is very much there to give you guidance and support you through that situation, and share their lived experience, as opposed to coaching you through that time. Would you agree?
Yeah, I look at it is that, and I think that's why it's important to be matched quite well, because like you say, if it's like marketing, I haven't got a clue about marketing, so my skills or anything like that wouldn't be good, but it's all about my experience, and I can help in what, if they ask me about something, I can say, this is how I experienced and this is how I overcame it. Do you maybe try those sort of techniques or ways of working? You give that a go. You know, that's how it works with me. And it's quite nice to be a sounding board, I think, as well, just because it is such an isolating role. Yeah, one of my mentees, she just works, she's the only PA in the whole business, works for like a small family firm. So my experiences before, I've worked for a family firm, so I know what the complications are of that sometimes. And yeah, and then just like telling her, giving her confidence, giving her, that's what I've seen on both of my mentees, is boosting their confidence. You know, you can do this, you're not going mad, you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
There's just, and it's just to see them grow in a matter of a couple of months is fantastic, because it's just to have that bit of support from someone and think, yeah, I'm doing this right, I'm doing okay, I'm doing all right, I'm not going mad.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing as well. I think we all search for that sense of fulfillment, don't we? And you know, I think a lot of people on this call know there's nothing for me personally that I love more than to see and make other people happy. And when you see them thriving, it just brings so much joy. And I think it brings that fulfillment that you think, you know, I've worked hard, I've worked a lot of years in different places, but if I can share that experience with somebody else and it can help and support them, that and you see them thriving, it's just a fantastic feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, so one of my mentees, because she was an executive assistant, I was like, what do you need? And I think she's at that crossroads of, do I go to London? Do I stay where I am? You know, and then we just looked at, what is your goal? And she wanted to move up, and she wanted to get more money and all this sort of things. And we were looking at what she was great at. And she's now gone on and moved on to being a project manager, and she's doing absolutely fantastic. And that was her goal. That was all we discussed about. How are you going to get there? How are you going to do it? And she's done it. So now I don't mentor anymore, because that was the goal. That's what we did, and we were like, tick, we've done it. But now obviously we've got a lovely relationship outside of it, and we just keep in touch.
Yeah, I think that's again, for me as a network leader, that's what I love, because it's these delicate and intricate relationships that people have, and have this, you develop a bond with somebody, don't you? That's not like another bond that you've had with somebody else that you perhaps just met at a networking event with the forum perhaps, but it's because you've developed that relationship over time. You almost have a bit of a partner in crime, so to speak.
You're the cheerleader, like, woo!
Yeah, absolutely. But no, thank you, Claire. I'm just going to bring Mel back in. Mel, for you, what was it like when you had your first initial mentor, when you had your first mentee? How was the first initial conversation like?
I think a bit like Claire said, you sort of got that, you've got the form, which was really helpful, because at least it gives those kind of starter conversation pieces. But I think when it's your first one as a mentor as well, I think you're equally as stressed as the mentee, or anxious, because I think you feel the pressure of I've got to help this person, and you want it to work. So I think you feel sort of quite naturally nervous yourself, and I think with each one it's got less nervous, because you, like Claire said, you just get into the routine and you get used to it naturally. But I think the very first one, it was sort of it was just getting to grips with it and understanding it's not an awkward conversation, like you said. If the click isn't there, that's nobody's fault, and that's what the initial sort of conversation was all about. It was, do we get on? So we sort of, I remember talking, and we just sort of started chatting about, you know, where you live, what your role is, you know, what are you actually kind of seeing that you need help with, and trying to pick those bits out from the conversation. And sometimes with her, it was actually, there was other things that she wanted help with, but she didn't know how to almost to verbalize it, how to actually say, that's what I want to help with, but I don't really know what it is. And from the conversations, that's what you sort of pull out bit by bit. And that sort of first meeting, that's sort of what it's about. It's just getting to know, well, the things that they want help with, are we the right fit? So do we click, and can I help with the things that you actually want help with? But yeah, it was I remember thinking, oh my God, like, can I do this? So I think you begin to almost sort of, you know, you have imposter syndrome yourself. I think we're all guilty of that. I think this profession, being a PA, I think you naturally, I think we underestimate ourselves, and I think we all lack confidence. And I agree totally with Claire that that's what I've seen with both of my mentees. It's one of the big things is always confidence, that I've worked on with both of them.
Yeah.
That you can do the role but speak up as well. So yeah, but then I hate to say it, but from that I've taken confidence myself. So as much as you're mentoring them, to a degree, you kind of you're learning yourself. So as much as I've given them stuff, they've given me a hell of a lot as well. So
no, definitely. And let's talk to you both about respect as well. So it's all about respecting the relationship. And I think when you're entering into something like this, it's all about, you know, if someone's going to invest their time from the mentee side and from the mentor side, that you show up and you're contactable. And we have had some instances, and it's been a shame, where some mentors have invested time in mentees and then they just completely don't lose contact, don't you know, completely slip off the radar, which is such a shame, really. And it's about having that open and honest communication with each other, but also thinking about the frequency of meetings as well. So Claire, I'll ask you, what was the expectation at first? Was somebody like, do we meet every week, or do we meet every month, or how does it work in terms of frequency, and how do you juggle that with your role, full-time role as well?
Yeah, everyone's different, aren't they? So for my one mentee, we meet up every 6 weeks or online, and then with my other one, it's like every couple of months, because it's more like I've sort of said, oh, let's try this, but you've got to give it a bit of time for it to embed. And so let's catch up in a couple of months, but if there's anything you want to chat about in between time, if something crops up, then just contact me. So yeah, it works fine.
And being virtual, because I think pre-pandemic we probably would have looked at face-to-face mentoring, because virtual just wasn't even a thing then, was it really? But do you find that virtual helps you because there isn't the traveling and the access, etc.? It's more accessible at different times of the day.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes it so much easier for me, and for them as well. We can fit it around like our lunch times, or in the evening if they want to, whatever works for them. But it just, yeah, I don't know if I could do it if I had to go and see everybody face to face every time.
Yeah, but I think it makes it those times where if you do meet up for a cup of coffee together or whatever, it does make that time together more valuable.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And what about you, Mel? How was it for you? Because again, from a mentee's perspective, they might be so excited about the relationship, they might be like, oh, well, we're going to be talking every week, or, you know, and I would be the same if it was me. So how was it for you?
I think we knew, it's similar to Claire, as she said, you need to sort of, with certain things, you need to give it enough time to see whether that's worked or not and things like that. So sometimes we'd have the bigger goals, we'd leave a bit more time, but it might be if there was something smaller or something that just came up off the top of their head, they'd drop me an email, or we'd just have a quick like Zoom call or Teams call or something. But the majority of the time it was sort of, you know, once a month, between 1 and 2 months. I'd probably say it was sort of, most of the time it was every other month, unless there was something that sort of popped up in between where they were like, I just need help with this now, I don't want to leave it until sort of our next catch up. But again, the sort of flexibility was there, knowing that they're giving up their time as much as we're giving up our time. You know, if they've got a meeting that they needed to cancel at the last minute, my one mentee working for the CEO of the big organisation that they did, they naturally had stuff come up last minute, and those time constraints and things like that, you know, you've got to have that understanding that that might happen, and that's both ways. So there was never any sort of difficulty or, you know, awkwardness around, I just need to shift this meeting today. Absolutely fine, not a problem. I think as long as you're accepting of that and you respect that you're both giving up the time to do it, you know, it does work. And again, the virtual thing, again, I think if it had been in person, I think it would be more difficult for the mentees to get buy-in from their companies to allow them to sort of do it, because of the time, giving up the time and so on, if they had to travel and things like that, and for us, if we had to go and travel to see them. So yeah, I think the virtual side of it has made it so much more accessible to so many people.
Yeah, definitely. And just to cover off, because I know Claire mentioned she had somebody that moved into a project management role. You also had somebody that moved into quite a different role as well, Mel, didn't you?
Yeah. My first mentee was working in a PA role and has actually sort of shifted now into a different division of the company, and they're loving it. And that was part of one of her targets. Was she wasn't, well, our first conversation was she didn't know if she wanted to stay as a PA. And obviously I didn't quite know how to manage that, because I was like, well, that's my career, that's what I've chosen to do. So I don't know how I can necessarily help steer you into another career, if that makes sense. But actually the conversations then were about what she enjoys, what does she want to do, what are the bits that, you know, she loves of the PA role, and is it a different type of PA role rather than, you know, what you're doing? Is it something broader that you want to do? Is it something more specific? Is it the company that you're working for? So we kind of explored all those different types of things, and she stayed within the business but just gone into a different division, and she's absolutely loving it. So again, it was good for me to say, actually, you can still mentor somebody even if they're not sure whether they wanted to stay in the profession at the time. So that was sort of a learning for me as well, really. So, yeah.
No, definitely. And for, you know, for us, if that is something that's happened out of that relationship, that's a really positive thing, because ultimately we're here to support that person in whatever choices they have. I think we have had some feedback before that whilst we have had quite a few people that have gone through the mentoring relationship and have moved into different roles, this isn't set up to encourage people to move out of the
No.
PA, the PA and the EA role, because that's what we're here for. But it does happen, and people do have aspirations that mean that they might be in a particular sector, or they might be in a particular job, or they might be working for a particular company that really isn't maximizing their skill set and really appreciating them. And so again, the peer-to-peer support is about helping that person be the very, very best that they can be. And if that does mean that they go for a job interview somewhere else, or if it does mean that they go and move into a different department, then that's absolutely fine, because it happens to any of us in life. But we're certainly not about, come and join this community because you'll get a different job in a different place. But yeah, so just to tackle that, because we have had some feedback about that previously, so I just wanted to kind of hit that on the head there. Claire, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just to say, it's that, yeah, I've got another mentee, so my second one, she's basically sort of just, she's come into the personal assistant role, and she sort of fell into it, and she absolutely realised that she loves being a personal assistant. So she's basically at the beginning of her journey as being a PA, and she wants it as a career. So it's completely the opposite end of the scale for me now. So I'm like, right, let's put a career pathway in and let's see what you can do. This is what you can do. This is what, and she's like, wow, I didn't even know that I had those options. So it's a case of just letting her grow really, and then helping her.
I bet that must be incredibly exciting for you.
It is, I love it.
You get somebody coming right at the beginning, you think, yes, okay,
Yeah.
I can really go.
I really wish I had that when I started. So that's what really makes me want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, brilliant. And just to kind of talk about what we also do, so we bring our mentors together, normally on a quarterly basis. Well, at the moment it's been virtually, but we bring them together because we think it's really important that our mentors get to know each other, get to know more about their skill set, and how they can also be equally as supportive to each other as they are with their mentees. And it's a very, again, we don't discuss anyone individually. It's just about allowing that extra additional support group for our mentors. And what's actually great about that is you can have 2, even 3 mentors. So it could be that you're having a mentor meeting with your mentee, and like we were saying about marketing, and they might want, you know, some additional information about marketing. There might be another mentor that you might want to bring into one of your meetings to talk to them about that particular project that they're working on, or that particular area that they're focused on. And what is great about that, it means our mentors are all working together as well, which is fantastic. And it's okay. We've got one person at the moment who's got 2 mentors. One, because they wanted to focus more around social media, building a personal brand, and having that presence from a business sense on LinkedIn. And then somebody else who, and then they wanted somebody else who was perhaps more experienced in the role that could help them with time blocking, time management, and email management, etc. And so actually they're having 2 separate meetings with 2 different mentors, and that's working really, really well as well. So our long-term plan is that we want to obviously develop a very much a core West Midlands and East Midlands based mentoring group. And but because of the pandemic, it has meant that we've opened up and we are able to support people virtually as well. We've got some mentors that are based in London who can offer a virtual relationship, and so you can really mentor anyone now from anywhere, which is great. And we also have had, in terms of a success story, Debbie from PwC was mentoring Hayley, and they had a fantastic relationship over 2 years. And Hayley then went on to say that she wanted to share her experience now by being a mentor. So she's been through the PA Forum mentoring initiative with Debbie as a mentee, and now she's as a mentor, and is one of those mentors that I was talking about previously. So it's a fantastic support group. We are looking to do an event in the autumn to bring together our mentors and our mentees for a networking event. We think it'd be really good for the mentors to meet each other face to face, but also really good for the mentees to meet each other as well, and some of the other mentors. So look out for that. We'll be doing that soon. If you are interested in finding out more about the mentoring initiative, as we say, please do email me. I'll make sure that the email address and the link to the website is included in the catch-up chat on YouTube. And if you feel like you want to reach out and have a chat to any of our mentors about their own personal experiences before you make a decision, they would be really happy. I hope I'm saying that, Claire and Mel, and being that you're nodding, they would be really happy to have a conversation with you as well. But before we wrap up today, Claire and Mel, have you got anything to add before we leave today? All good? I just want to... Sorry?
All good.
Yeah, all good. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, just if you're looking for a mentor, then go for it. Don't be afraid. Don't think that you shouldn't need one. And if you think you've got some experience that you can offer to help support somebody else, then please just go for it and put yourself forward to be a mentor, because you'll get as much as it out of it as the mentees do. So.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll hopefully run another one of these discovery sessions again in the coming weeks. But if you need anything, get in touch. But in the meantime, have a fab weekend. See you later.